So when you look back at World War II, Korea, Vietnam, I was from a tactical perspective, actually maneuvering troops. Is there any big lessons that you would think back of that you say, this is something that I did consistently, or this is something that I would never do because I knew it would cause problems?
I can't think of anything. I'll go back to what I said earlier. I've always believed, and maybe this is from growing up in Iowa, I don't know, just treat people like you'd like to be treated yourself. And it worked out. I don't know. I told you about my first sergeant calling me Fife, which pissed me off, quite frankly. But because he was a guy who didn't treat people like to be treated. And I've always was amazed how much I exulted in the fact when he got busted. I mean, we were in England on the way over to the continent, and he got busted for I don't know what reason, but he got busted back to being a private. That's a big jump from first sergeant down to being a private, and I was happy because I didn't think this guy was. He's also the guy. When I took the test to see whether I could be smart enough to go to the military academy, he said, "What the hell are you taking a test for like that for? You're not smart enough to go to the West Point." And I always would like to be able to say to this guy, if I ever saw him again, I'm sure he's dead by now, I told you so. But, if you don't treat people like they should be treated, you deserve to be treated the opposite way. And I just have always practiced, or tried to practice that anyway. And so far it's been relatively successful.
That's a huge underpinning of leadership from everything I've seen, everything I've ever read, every person I've ever talked to. If you care about your people, you care about and you want to treat them well as human beings, that's the underpinning that really makes leadership work. And it's a lot of times, and you mentioned this earlier, a lot of times from the civilian side, they think, well, in the military, you can just order people to do things and they'll just do it because you're the boss. And that's not true. And it's actually, when I got out of the military and I started working in the civilian sector, I thought to myself, if you didn't want, if you want somebody to do something and they don't do it, you can just fire them. But that's not true either, because guess what? You'll run out of people really quick. And so what you have to do is you have to lead. Right. That's what you have to do.
Right.
And one of the most core underpinnings of leadership is really caring about the people that work for you. And I think the more you care about them, and I know for me, like I cared more about my guys than I did about myself. I wanted to make sure that they were okay and that things were going to go well for them, and that was always my priority, my real priority. And I suppose someone that was very jaded might think, well, then you're going to get passed over. Things aren't going to work out good for you because you're more worried about your troops. And the opposite's actually true.
That's right.
And my career was beautiful. And all I ever tried to do was take care of the people that worked for me.
Because that's the way you get to be successful. Hiring people or working with people, in the civilian sector, you hire people. In the military, whoever arrived was that was it.
You get people.
But I've always said, your job is to make the boss successful, and vice versa. The boss's job is to make them successful. And if you work that, it works out for both of you. And to me, leadership, we talk about it, but it's easy if you follow a few basic principles. You don't have to have all the stuff that goes. I mean, people write books on leadership. You've probably written books on leadership yourself.
Well, yes, indeed.
But the fact of the matter, there's some basics, and you just expand on it. You don't. It isn't that magic if you just follow a few basic principles.
One of the things we talk about in the book, actually, is simple, not easy.
Yeah.
Because it is. And we say that in our book as well, is we didn't invent any of this. This is stuff that's been around, and there's no eureka moments, and we're not claiming to have anything startlingly new. This is fundamental stuff that if you think about it, some of it might be stuff you already do as a leader, some of it be stuff that you know you should do as a leader, and just making it clear for people to understand is probably the only real benefit of the book itself. It's like, okay, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
But no rocket science there. I didn't need to be a whiz kid to write that book, I can promise you.